question is, are you ready?
What do you guys want to talk about?
Let me talk to you. Yeah.
Throwdown Nation, we are live. It is a Thursday night. We are rolling on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitter/X, on Facebook, and on Twitch. It is episode 142 of the Throwdown. And today we are throwing down with a New York City-based wrestler, a guy who is also the head trainer at the T2T Wrestling Academy in Brooklyn. I give you the one and only King of Chaos, Logan Black. How you doing tonight, Logan?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Like I said before we went live, man, I've been looking forward to this one. And for those of you that are watching this live, if you have questions or comments, just throw them in the chat, and we'll either handle them as we go or do a little Q&A at the end. And taking a glance over at the Instagram chat, we've already got Brady Gibson Photography, Wildside Wrestling Podcast, and Ricky Harway in the chat. And Ricky says hello to you, Logan.
Oh, no. I had to deal with Ricky all day today. What a mess.
Friend of yours, huh?
Something like that.
Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and get started with the first and the most obvious question, and that is, how long have you been wrestling?
Oh, man. So in like 3 weeks, it'll be officially 19 years that I've been involved in pro wrestling. I walked into Johnny Rods' pro wrestling school 19 years ago in August. And yeah, the rest is history. Just, been trudging along for all that time.
You don't look old enough to have been doing this 19 years.
I'm going to take that as a massive compliment. Like there's 3 gray hairs growing up there, but I hide them pretty well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, I am, I suppose, blessed with good genetics to look young enough, but I certainly 1000% feel every bit my age at this point.
Absolutely. So was Johnny Rods pretty much your primary trainer, or have you trained elsewhere? And sort of tell us about the early days of your training.
Sure. So I'll say this, and I'm not really shy about saying it. Like, it's not necessarily a controversial take at this point. Rods doesn't train anybody. Rods trained Taz. He trained Devon Dudley. He trained, Big Vito. He trained a lot of those guys in the 80s and 90s. And they're all excellent professional wrestlers. But by the time that I got to Johnny Rods' school, Johnny basically just sat in his office and made jewelry and, talked a whole lot of smack about the Samoans. Anyone who goes through Johnny's school at this point will literally tell you the exact same thing. So I wasn't trained by Johnny, but it was through his school and through his lineage. The people who took the real time to train me, is Chris from the Batiri, who they were a tag team in Chikara, and they're all over the place. Chris was always helpful. There were a couple of other people in there, a guy by the name of Mac Daddy Flex. A lot of people whose names just aren't particularly popular or well known outside of that one gym in Brooklyn. But yeah, so I had went through Johnny's school, and after about a year, I kind of figured like, all right, either, I do this myself and I get, I motivate myself and I get on the road and I, start working, or else I'm going to be stuck doing, Johnny Rod shows for, I don't know, until I can't do this anymore. So
Right.
I started going around. I started training everywhere that I could. Um, yeah, basically just trying to train anywhere and learn from anybody. Tons of seminars. I had done a couple of seminars with people involved in Ring of Honor. I had done work with the Maximos. Um, Trained with Cheeseburger a number of times at Worldwide Dojo in Philly. Um, Basically, kind of just been like a vagabond like that, just going from place to place, trying to pick up as much as I possibly could. Never quite staying at one place. Excuse me. Never quite staying at one place for too long. And just recognizing that, like, for my journey, it was a matter of like learning everything from everywhere and taking it all in, as opposed to kind of just following that Gleason's gym, Johnny Rod's trap of like being stuck there. Because Johnny had people there, I was wrestling for 20 years, and it's like, you've been wrestling here for 20 years,
Yeah.
but 12 matches a year is not that's not gonna help me. I need
Right.
to be working multiple times a week in order to actually grow, and separating myself from a lot of that allowed me to do that.
Gotcha. You mentioned training with Cheeseburger. He seems like a good dude.
Burger is one of the most. I mean, we could sit here and talk all day about how nice of a guy he is, because
Yeah.
he's just laid back, and he's a great trainer, and he's patient, and he's really smart about things. I genuinely, there's a few places that I'll send my students to, if like, hey, if you want supplemental training, or hey, if like you want things that are smaller class and focused on you, I'll say go to Philly and go see Cheeseburger, or go to Catch Point in Philly as well. Philly's got a great wrestling scene, but Burger is like a wrestling savant. Like
Yeah.
he knows the ins and outs of literally everything, and is so smart about everything pro wrestling related. I cannot speak Cheeseburger up enough about just how just great of a professional wrestler he is. Like, we could talk about how great of a dude he is all day, but
Yeah.
what a wrestler.
Oh, for sure. So, again, sort of hearkening back to the early days of your training, uh, what would you say was the most difficult aspect of pro wrestling for you to wrap your mind and body around initially? Did you come with an athletic background? You know,
I did not come with an athletic back. I mean, I played sports growing up. I played hockey. Um, I played basketball. I was always active. I roller skated everywhere. So it's not like I wasn't used to moving my body. Also, when I graduated high school, and I was like, I could join up with wrestling school now, or I could spend a year in the gym learning how to lift weights, learning how to trying to put some size on my body, because I think I started out at 160 pounds when I graduated high school, which is now is a lot different. Like, now you have plenty of people who are like much smaller, but at that time, like, I was like, I can't move like a cruiserweight. I've got to be over 220 pounds. So I was like, let's put on 60 pounds. So yeah, just a lot of working out and staying active. But no, I never wrestled. I had no background in wrestling at all before I started. I played music. Like, I was in bands and stuff like that. But I always loved wrestling, and I knew that it was what I wanted to do, so I dedicated myself to it. One of the hardest things for me to wrap my head around, I think, was I mean, everything is hard to kind of, and I feel like that's a cheap answer, but it's not, because learning how to bump, you're literally, I tell this to my students, you're reteaching yourself how to walk. Your
yeah,
entire instinct of your body for your entire life is don't fall on the floor. And now
right.
you have to erase that instinct and learn how to fall, and fall safely. So, certainly hard. Learning ring psychology, where I was like, oh yeah, I know, I understand how ring psychology works. Like, no, I don't. And I think anybody who's like, no, I have that figured out. It's like, it's one of those things where you're always learning, and you can have a good grasp of it, but you're always going to be learning it. I think for me, and again, this is the juicy answer. The thing that was the hardest to me to understand was like understanding how the politics worked. And like, even in like, a wrestling school where like in reality, there shouldn't be any of that. There was plenty of it. And
Oh yeah.
that's kind of where it was, and understanding like, oh, if you're friends with this person, that's going to make this one upset, and this one has Johnny's ear. And then again, I assure you all, and I assure all of your viewers and listeners, I am far from bitter. I put out videos each week on how to be more positive about wrestling, and positive steps on how to look at pro wrestling from a trainer's perspective. But like, politics are a huge part of what we do, and understanding those things. So like, figuring that out early on and being like, oh, that's why this is the case. That's why, people aren't opting to come out and help me out. Gotcha. So understanding those kind of things, and like, again, I can appreciate the fact that I did learn that early on, because it has certainly kind of helped me, move along in my career.
Absolutely. So you were mentioning that you've got a background in music. What instruments do you play? I'm a bass player. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, no. So the only band that I ever recorded with, I played bass on the EP. Usually, I spent years playing guitar, and I got good at guitar. But that band needed a bass player, and it was hardcore punk. So I'm playing 3 notes. So anyone can do it. So yeah, basically that's all that it was. So yeah, I played bass and guitar in all the bands that I played in growing up.
Nice. So how did the opportunity with T2T to become their head trainer come about?
So that's an interesting question. So there's a guy by the name of Tom Frazier. Wrestling people don't really know him. He wasn't a wrestling person. He was a hip hop music producer, performer, all that stuff, who was a huge wrestling fan. And he was brought to me many years ago by like a mutual contact, because he wanted to run a single wrestling event, like a big wrestling event where he was going to have like, wrestling, and then like his hip hop performers and artists, and like we're gonna do this whole big thing at some park in Astoria, Queens, and it totally fell through. But he came to me because he knew that I had knowledge for things. Like, the person brought up to me, and I was basically kind of helping him along. Then he opened up his own wrestling promotion that ran one show. They were supposed to run 2, but the second one was supposed to happen, and then COVID hit. So that shut everything down.
Yep.
But I worked his show, and we stayed cool. And like, my whole thing is I'm about building bridges. So I just always want to be chill with everybody. And then about 5 years ago, no, probably a little bit less. I would say closer to like 4 years ago, as we're starting to really work our way through the pandemic. He hits me up and he's like, hey, I want to open a wrestling school. How do you feel about that? And I'd been training somewhere else, or training people somewhere else, and I'd quit that because I was feeling so down about pro wrestling, and like, it takes a lot to make me hate wrestling, and that's exactly what that particular place did. It made me hate it, hate everything involved in it, and hate teaching, which is, again, crazy to think of. So I was like, I'm not really that interested in it. Like, best wishes. And he was like, well, just like, check it out. Like, you're a really good resource. I know that you're good for this stuff. Come through to the school on like opening day. And like, I'm like, all right, but all I could do is give you like 1 day a week. And then 1 day a week turned into, more than that. And then showing up, and then like time progresses, and I'm the head trainer over there. And I learned to love wrestling again. So, through Tom bringing me along and bringing me to a space where, I didn't have to listen to somebody else and how they wanted things to go, and if I disagreed with them or not, or more importantly, creating a culture that is, inclusive and positive, and isn't all about like hurting people mentally and physically. It's like, it's not the 70s anymore. This is not a mafia. Anybody can look on YouTube and find out literally how we make the sausage. So like,
Yep.
I don't know, like why am I sitting here trying to like hurt somebody in a number of different ways just for them to, you know, respect the. I don't care if you show up to my school and you don't respect wrestling and you don't learn to respect wrestling quickly. There's nothing I need to do to make you quit, because you will quit because you're not part of what the culture is.
Right.
And that to me was the important thing, like making that culture and being, you know, fostering that in the space. And we did. And like T2T is my baby. And like I wear the, you know, black and purple colors with the utmost pride.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'm presuming, based on our conversation so far, that you've been at least a fan of this stuff the huge majority of your life. Is that pretty accurate?
As far back as I could remember. If you go far enough back on my Instagram, there's a picture of me. I had to have been 3, maybe 4 years old. I've got a Big Bird shirt on, and I'm right there with Ric Flair. So
Nice.
as far back as I could remember, I was a wrestling fan. There's never been a point where I don't remember loving it, like absolutely being obsessed with it.
Gotcha. Well, what would you say is your earliest wrestling related memory?
So I know that I was watching wrestling before this, but I think for me, the first memory that comes to mind, because I guess it's like such a vivid memory. My upstairs neighbor was my best friend growing up. His name was Kevin. He was a huge wrestling fan as well. And we watched whatever WrestleMania it was, that was Macho Man versus Ultimate Warrior. I was a huge Ultimate Warrior fan. He was a huge Macho Man fan. So it's the two of us. We're little kids, and we're just glued on to see our favorites fight. And like my oldest memory of wrestling is Warrior winning, you know, makeup's all off, point to the heavens, and Kevin just crying his eyes out because his hero lost. And me going, it's okay, he'll win next time, dude. Don't worry, don't worry. That is again, I know I was watching wrestling before that, but that is so tattooed in my brain.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've been a fan since I was around 11, and I'm going to be 56 in September. So I've been following this stuff 45 years.
Oh yeah.
And my earliest memory was being a kid in Florida watching the old Florida Championship Wrestling with Gordon Soley doing the commentary. First feud I remember was Dusty Rhodes and Kevin Sullivan.
Oh,
I mean,
like look what you were born into. Like this is
I know. I know.
Pure wrestling brilliance.
Yeah, and you know, it's been fun being old enough that I've been along for a lot of cool stuff, like, you know, getting to see the Monday Night Wars start to finish, the rise and fall of ECW, you know, growing up in the territory days. I mean, it's been a blast.
It's interesting where like I'll talk to, you know, students of mine because they're far younger than I am.
Right.
And like me and you know, a couple of the other folks there who are older, the other trainer, CPA, who is also like around my age, and we'll talk about like going to ECW shows and being in those crowds, and kids are like, oh my god, like you were there for, yeah, we were there for that, like, you know, I've seen this stuff, you know, up front, or like talking about the Monday Night Wars, like having lived through them, and they're just like blown away because they have no frame of reference because they're like children.
Right. You know, it's funny. My son has never lived in a world without Wi-Fi. and I try to explain what dial-up was like to him, and he just looks at me like I got off the mothership. You know,
it's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
the
really
crazy thing about explaining to people what life is without a supercomputer in your pocket.
Exactly. So, away from wrestling, what are some of your other hobbies and interests?
Well, I mean, I don't know how clearly you can see behind me. This is an old computer, so the camera is not particularly great. I'm a comic book collector. I'm a toy collector. And I was saying before, like we just got hit with a huge
flood
storm, and like a whole bunch of my comics are, thankfully they're you know, in, you know, kept in plastic, so they're all right. But then all the new stuff that wasn't all is like destroyed, sitting next to me.
Bummer. Bummer.
yeah, so comics, toys. I'm a big. I love Marvel and DC. Like, grew up being a huge fan of that stuff. Um, Music is still a huge deal for me. Like, I don't get out to shows as often as I'd like to, but I still try and punk rock is one of those things where it's always a cycle. Like, people grow out of it, people get too old for it, but there's always a next generation to come in. So I'm always trying to keep up with that kind of thing. Yeah, other than those things, I am, wrestling keeps me pretty busy, and then that other stuff kind of does it. Like, people joke about me having absolutely no time to sleep or breathe, and they're absolutely correct.
Gotcha. So outside of wrestling, what person inspires you the most and why?
Oh man, that's a deep question, man. All right, let's roll into it. If we're talking, like people that other people would know or understand, I think someone like Henry Rollins is someone that I look at who is kept up a DIY aesthetic for his whole life and has kept true to himself. Never had to change who he was to make people like him or make anyone latch on. He just has always been himself and always kind of found himself in a position where it's like, well, you don't have to like it, but this is what I'm going to do. Yeah, I think that's the big one where if people always ask me that, anything similar, but just who in life is someone you look to, it's what would Henry Rollins do is how I often look at moral crises or dilemma.
Nice. So what does your family think about all of this? What do they think about the fact that you are successfully pursuing your wrestling dreams?
My parents, I was young enough when I started that I was still living with my parents. And they were supportive. Like, my father's a huge wrestling fan, always has been, and we would, to this day, I'll hang out with him and he'll I don't know if TiVo's even a thing, but he'll pull up whatever SmackDown or whatever. You got to see this match. Andrade, this guy Andrade is ridiculous. And we'll just we'll watch wrestling and we'll talk, and he's been to plenty of shows that I've been on and was always super supportive. My mother's supportive, but in a different way. She just doesn't, she doesn't want me getting hurt, which is, it's whatever.
That's being a mom.
Yeah, it's given. Yeah, it is what it is. But she's always been that way. My daughter is not a fan of the wrestling ring. I brought her to. We had a seminar at the school where Will Ferrara he was with Ring of Honor for a while. I think now he's doing production with Impact Wrestling. Had come through to do a seminar with my students, and I brought her to the school, and she was not feeling the loudness of the ring. And we were even talking today because I dropped her off at daycare, and then I was like, Daddy's gonna go to work. He's doing wrestling later, and she's like, I don't like the loud wrestling ring. It's too loud. So she has to wear her earmuffs whenever she comes out.
Gotcha. How old is she?
She just turned 4 in May.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that age, loud noises are sometimes.
Yeah, no, she's a bit sensitive to sound on that kind of stuff, but also startling sounds. So a ring getting hit that is big for her. Also, I have kept her sheltered from all of this stuff. So watching any sort of even pretend violence is that's world breaking for her, because she's such a little princess. It's ridiculous.
Nothing wrong with that.
Not at all.
So are you pretty much New York born and bred?
Born and raised in New York, near Coney Island. So it's very much like that Coney Island lifestyle that hard-nosed everything is very much, it's not just an aesthetic. It's literally how I grew up. I grew up basically existing at the Coney Island sideshow. So it's that whole aesthetic it's very real, and it's very much a part of who I am. yeah, Brooklyn specifically is very much like part of who I am and how I exist. And like I don't think, it's great to visit other places, but like New York is like I could never exist outside of New York.
Gotcha. I have been to New York a few times, but I hate to admit it, I have never been out of Manhattan.
That's fair. I mean, like, all the touristy stuff is out there, but I think if you're looking for, the really good food or like the really good sites or the real fun stuff to do, the boroughs is where to go. Like Queens is the amount of like you could walk 1 mile in Queens and get like literally every different type of South American food known to man. Like,
Oh, that is
from,
cool.
from restaurants, from street carts, from vendors. You could do that, and then you walk a mile in another direction, and then you can get China, you can get South Korean food, you can get all these different types of like Asian foods. Queens is so diverse in that way. And then Brooklyn's getting gentrified like crazy right now, but a lot of those places are going. I'm a big food guy, if you haven't noticed from the conversation. But there's also just so much to do in the outer boroughs. But Manhattan's great for touristy stuff. I mean, Central Park is massive and it's beautiful.
Yeah. So, they say that the best wrestling personas are usually pretty much yourself turned up to 11. So tell us a bit about in-ring Logan Black and kind of compare and contrast him with everyday you.
I think the great thing about in-ring Logan Black is that I'm able to access a part of myself that I had to let go in order to like grow up and, own a home and have a child and basically exist without being like dead or in prison.
Yeah.
Punk rock will do that to you. And that's
Yeah.
kind of, I get to access that in, a very real way because the King of Chaos is what I am. I am in your face. I'm aggressive. I like to bring the chaos and craziness and, wild nature of a hardcore show that 95% of a crowd is never going to experience in their lives. I like to bring it out to them and make them try and experience the things that made me kind of fall in love with that, when I was young and impressionable and having fun. Outside of the ring, I mean, again, people will tell you that I'm intense, and I could definitely be intense, but also, like, half my students call me dad. Like, I've had dad vibes forever. It's just,
Yeah.
I'm a caretaker. I love hard. I live hard. And, intense, but at the same time, like, I'm a very chill guy when it comes to when I actually get to just kind of relax on things. So there's definitely like you hang out with me long enough, you'll see Logan Black in who I am, but there's still plenty of like calm, relaxing person behind all of it.
Got you. So, we're going to sort of jump into the Wayback Machine a bit now. So tell us about your very first match. What was it like? How did it go? What were your thoughts?
So my first match, I was 3 weeks into training. Again, Johnny is Johnny. 3 weeks into training, I showed up and all right, now I'm accessing this, and this is really fun. So this is a funny story. So I show up to the show, and Johnny asks if I have my ref shirt with me, and I'm like, yes, I do. He's like, okay, you're going to referee a match tonight. I go, great. And then I go and look at the card, and my name is the opening match. It says Slick Gomez, which I guess was the name that he gave me, versus Staten Island Chris.
Oh,
Very ambiguous name. Ambiguous. Staten Island Chris. Okay. So I'm literally, who's Staten Island Chris? I want to call this match. Who's Staten Island Chris? Who's Staten Island Chris? Who's Staten Island Chris? I looked at the only Chris that I knew was this guy, Chris Romano. And I go, Chris, where are you from? He goes, Staten Island. I go, are you Staten Island Chris? He goes, I guess so. So we called the match. It was a 3-minute match. We called this match. He had been doing this for maybe like a month or two more than me. So he was the heel. He was like, we'll do this, 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 and this. You're a baby face. Great. Match 1 goes to begin. Johnny's the announcer. Oh, here he is, the one, Slick Gomez. And out I come. I'm slapping hands. I'm doing my best 3-week-old baby face routine I could do. All right, yeah, let's go. All right, yeah, all right. And here he is from Staten Island, Chris. And a completely different person walks out. Someone I've never met in my life, someone I've never seen ever, walks out to the ring. I sit there and like, there's a shock of like, oh no. So I immediately do a heel turn in the ring. I literally a moment ago, I'm like, all right, here we go. You shut up. No, you shut it. And I'm just like, we lock up in the ring, and I go, all right, I guess we're calling it in here. I didn't have any business calling a match in the ring 3 weeks in. This kid didn't have any business being in a ring. But here we were, because Johnny Rods is Johnny Rods. And we had a 3-minute match. I think I won with, I think I rolled him up and pulled the tights. And I went back there, and the other Chris who I called the match with, goes, I guess it wasn't me. I go, I guess it wasn't. Rest is history.
Wow.
There's
Nice.
there's the stories I can tell from that first year at Gleason's of just like the most ridiculous wrestling nonsense that went on every single show. Oh my God. Like it's all tattooed in my brain because like I tell these stories to people now in like a wrestling culture that is, you know, people are trained better, people work better, people have better heads on their shoulders. Nobody would put up with this nonsense right now because they'd all go, this place is a joke. I got to get out. There was one show where they started, every time they would start with a battle royal. Johnny would get everybody in. Everyone starts with a battle royal. Starts with a battle royal. Somebody gets eliminated. I think 2 people got eliminated from the battle royal. Johnny stops the battle royal cold because they didn't do the Star Spangled Banner yet.
Really?
So everyone's beating on each other in the ring. They all have to stop and then do one of these for the freaking Star Spangled Banner. The people who were eliminated come back in and they restart the match. Wildness. This is craziness. Nobody would even imagine what happened. But that's like tip of the iceberg stuff for Gleason's Gym.
Wow. So, you know, again, you've been doing this for 19 years, so this may be a little hard to narrow down, but if you can, tell us about your favorite match that you have been a part of.
Ooh.
If there's one that springs to mind.
I'm going to say this. One of the more recent matches that I've had has a lot of meaning to me, so it's one of my favorites. For Blitzkrieg Pro out of Enfield, Connecticut. The match is available on IWTV if any of the viewers want to go check that out. They just put that up. The last luau that Blitzkrieg Pro did. It was myself and my tag partner out there, Jeremy Leary, against A-Game Joseph Alexander and Kwesi Asante, who are 2 of my students who showed up to Blitzkrieg and, you know, literally worked their way up from the bottom and, you know, were given an opportunity. And that match that we had was absolutely fantastic. The crowd is still talking about it at this point. And it was just incredible to be able to see the reaction of, you know, what they, you know, my students had gotten there once, you know, once everything was said and done, to realize like, yeah, this is why I am here right now, is to, you know, pass the mantle over and let these young, incredibly talented kids, you know, take over. You know, I'm in the twilight, and that meant a lot to me to be able to do that for them.
That's awesome. So, and this is this question is for you from both the perspective of a wrestler as well as a trainer. And that is, what is your biggest in-ring pet peeve?
I can guarantee you, if any of my students are watching this, they're screaming at the screen right now, going, "Don't let go of the headlock," because I will literally scream this over and over and over again at training. When you're getting shot off for a shoulder tackle, never let go of the headlock. Then there's no hold. What are you holding on to? A bigger one for me that I think far outweighs that one is I hate it when people are in, they get sent into a corner, into the turnbuckle,
Mm-hmm.
and they just kind of hang out there, arms up, like they're just chilling. And it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, why are you just chilling? And I know that, like, growing up, we watched, all of our favorites all did that. They stood there with their arms up. They were getting punched in the stomach. Ouch, ouch, ouch. It's a different business right now,
Yeah.
You could do more with actually making it work. I don't know. Just my take on it.
Gotcha. So glancing over at the Instagram chat, I've got to shout out my lovely wife Julia. She's in the chat. She's not a huge wrestling fan, but she puts up with it, and she enjoys watching these live streams. So
that's the important part. You get support.
Absolutely. So and again, this is sort of your perspective as both a wrestler and a trainer. And that is, if you could only be one or could have one of your students only be one, would you rather have them be great in the ring or great on the mic?
I'm going to give the most trainer answer ever.
Okay.
And say I'd rather them be great on the mic because it's easier on the body and you draw money.
Yep.
It's a business, so I say this all the time. Danhausen will never have to take a bump the rest of his career, and he'll be doing that until he's 100.
Yep.
And he'll be able to feed his family, put his kids through school. Brilliant. Like that's, some of us have, really have to, not to say that Danhausen isn't a fantastic wrestler, because he is, but he just doesn't have to be. Some of us have to be good in the ring because we lack the out-of-ring charisma to be able to make it work. But always easier. Take less bumps. Do more of this. Make your money.
Yep. So, do you have an all-time favorite match as a fan? A match that's like comfort food to you. You just find yourself kind of going back to it, and it never really gets old. Do you have a match like that?
I mean, there's a few of them that I always go back to. Again, talk about comfort food. I'm a big food guy, so if I have to pick one thing, it doesn't quite work out. I got to pick a few. I need variety.
Yeah, you got to have a buffet.
Exactly. I could always go back and watch Cactus Jack and Terry Funk at the finals of the 95 Deathmatch tournament. That's one that watching when I was younger, I just was like, I have no idea what I am witnessing. This is brilliant. Also, Terry Funk's my favorite wrestler of all time. So, Terry Funk doing anything is going to be great. I'm a huge fan of, if we go back to Gringos Locos, Art Barr and Eddie Guerrero against Octagon and Hijo del Santo. Brilliant psychology. Literally any Tajiri and Super Crazy match from ECW. Any of them, because they're all excellent, and they're all, like, the great part about it is that they wrestle literally week in, week out, and every match was unique because they're both so creative. There's a specific Midnight Express versus the Fantastics match. I couldn't tell you the date on it. I'm so bad about these things, but Midnights and Fantastics, again, like two of the greatest tag teams of all time. These are all ones that I can go back to and like watch over and over and over again. What was it? Miracle Violence Collection. Gordy and Dr. Death against who was it? Hansen and it was Johnny Ace and I'm screwing this up. And it's a match that I watch all the time. I think it was Hansen and Spivey from the finals of the tag, triple crown tag. Brilliant, just hard hitting, aggressive, just big meaty dude slapping meat. My kind of wrestling. Those are a few that I can think of off the top of my head.
Gotcha. So piggybacking off of that question, do you have an all-time favorite promo as a fan?
100%. I can listen to. There's two. I'll be really quick. There's Dusty Rhodes' promo with Dustin after Arn had joined. I think it was called the Stud Stable at the time. It was with and like Dusty came back and in the ring he's like when you were a child I left to find my fortune and I neglected you. To this day, it's a tear always because it's
it gets you right there, right in the feels.
Immediately, just like Dusty was just the greatest, one of my all-time favorites. There's that one, and then there's the Four Horsemen reunion from like '98 when Ric Flair returns, and it's like the old Flair and JJ and Arn, Benoit, Malenko, all in the ring, and Flair's just going off, and out comes Eric Bischoff to like shut it down, but Flair is just you're a liar, you're a cheat, and it's the intensity. Oh God, it's incredible. Those are like I could watch those on repeat always.
Absolutely. So, in your opinion, at this very moment, who are the best male and female wrestlers in the world right now?
In the world, geez, that's a hard one. It's such a cheap answer, but again, all of my students will say the same thing. John Cena, I believe, is the greatest wrestler of all time. Might not be my favorite, but there's nobody who, for the longest amount of time, drew that kind of money, had that kind of popularity, has made popular movies. He's just John Cena is a household name at this point. Clearly he's winding down, but Big Match John is always there. I think John still is still absolutely crushing it. And then I think in terms of females, Rhea Ripley forever just every time that I see her wrestle just impresses me to just an insane level. Like there's nothing she cannot do, and there's nothing that she cannot do incredibly well.
Agreed.
So I think Rhea's definitely up there for me. And
Agreed.
I got to cheap out and be all about Cena.
I've said this several times recently. Something I'm really excited about with Rhea Ripley is now that she is in the WWE system, I am dying to see her and Jordan Grace work a program together.
That's going to be something else when it happens.
Yeah. Two very powerful women. I mean, that's going to be some serious strong style women going at it.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun when that happens.
For sure. So, you've been doing this long enough that you've probably gotten some of these type of opportunities, and this can be present day or past. Who at this point would be a dream opponent for you? Who would Logan Black love to share a ring with?
That's a great question. I'll say that I've been very fortunate to share the ring with people who I've idolized growing up. But at this stage, I think like the last few on my list where it's like, no, this makes sense, and no, like I'm not gonna like gas out in the ring because I'm getting up there in age, and my knees aren't
we all?
I think I could have a lot of fun with Sami Callihan, who is somebody that inspired me to like a very high level to just bring like so much intensity to the ring. Just again, literally just to be like, please bring the best out of me. But again, I've also been so lucky where like I was never going to get in the ring with Terry Funk. That's, it just wasn't going to happen.
Right.
I'm way too young for that. And, I was able to, share the ring with Johnny Kidd, who, turned me on to British wrestling. So like I've had lots of really great opportunities for me to not be able to sit there and have like a bucket list, a mile long.
Right, right. So, using a literary term here, do you have a foil, meaning an arch rival, someone that you have amazing chemistry with, that if you're working that person, it's always going to be a banger? Do you have somebody like that?
I do, and there's a bit of lore behind it too. So
Okay.
Scotty Wild, who is a wrestler out of the Western Massachusetts area, Scotty and I have wrestled at least 3 or 4 dozen times at this point, in every setting and every type of match. Um, it's always a great time. We have great chemistry, and we joke that we wrestle so often. We joke that we can't be on a card together without somehow being involved and wrestling each other, because we worked a show 2 years ago. It was a full weekend's worth of shows at a convention, and one night the promoter was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to put you guys against each other tonight." And a fan jumped in the ring that night, and there was a whole big thing, tried to fight wrestlers, and things went crazy. So now it's part of the lore of like, if you don't book us against each other on your show, something terrible is going to happen. So you have to do it.
Gotcha. So, what is your favorite move? What is a move that you just really enjoy doing? And on the flip side of that, is there a move that you won't do, or you would at least rather not do, and that can be giving or receiving?
Favorite move to give is lariat. I mean, I have it tattooed on me, so
Nice.
the importance of that. So big dude throwing heat at somebody, like it's gonna, who doesn't love that? I don't think there's anything that I would refuse to take. There's a lot of moves that like my students will do, and I'll be like, I really just hate seeing it because it just doesn't make sense. Like, what is it called? Like when you have somebody, like you're gonna do like a single leg crab, but you DDT like their leg or their foot. I'm like,
Yeah.
like, who does that hurt?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? I hate that one. Again, talking about pet peeves. So that's the only one where I'll be like, that's just, I don't like that one.
Gotcha. So, you've been, again, doing this long enough that I'm sure this applies to one degree or another. So I'll ask, what hurts right now? Or should I ask what doesn't hurt?
That's probably a shorter answer. I mean, yeah, my knees are always really, really shaky. They're, and then I don't think there's an ounce of cartilage left in them. I can only turn my neck to a certain degree now, and then my lower back, my sciatica is really bad. I think at some point I'm gonna have to slow down enough to like really get that fixed up. Like that's a really, really bad one. I find myself stretching a lot more before matches now because otherwise, 3-4 days after a single match, and I'll really be feeling it.
Gotcha. So, again, reflecting on your career, if you can narrow it down, what would you say is the worst bump you have taken?
Oh boy, there's a lot of really bad ones. I routinely took floor bumps for years, which could explain the sciatica. Last year at the Blitzkrieg Luau, I took a power bomb onto a boogie board that had mouse traps attached to it.
Oh, nice.
So that wasn't fun. I have Manders carved up my head with a cowboy boot stirrup. I think that's the right term for it. I'm a New Yorker through and through. I don't know any of this stuff.
Spurs.
Spur, there you go.
Yeah.
Spur. Carved up my head with a spur. That wasn't particularly fun. Anytime I get stuck with skewers in my head, it's a great visual, but goddamn, getting those things out are the absolute worst. And then I think I don't know, like most bumps I'm pretty good about. It's always like, what was the last thing that concussed me? You know what I mean? So that's, whatever bump that was, that's the one that's my least favorite.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, people that I have talked to have said that the worst bumps they have taken is being power bombed onto Legos, and I can only imagine that would just suck because just stepping on a Lego is bad enough.
Funny you mentioned that. I did a barefoot Legos match once.
Ooh,
I'm trying to remember. It was me, Low Life Louie, and I think might have been Jeff Cannonball in that match. I'm trying to remember. It was a triple threat. And yeah, barefoot Legos. Yeah,
good times, huh?
a lot of poor decision making on my part.
So, what is your take on the role that social media is playing as a promotional tool in wrestling, specifically indie wrestling?
Social media has always been a double-edged sword. I think. I think that it is great for wrestlers to be able to connect with fans in a way they've never ever been able to. At the same time, it opens things up to like a lot of access that maybe we don't want to give to fans. And there's a lot of really wonderful wrestling fans out there, but there are some people out there who don't really respect or understand boundaries. So like there'll be plenty of times where like again, like I have fans like send me a message and be like, hey, really appreciate this great match, awesome, thank you. And then there's other people that'll send like weird things or like ask about my family, and it's like buddy, like it's not how that works. So
Right.
I think social media can go either way. I also think that a lot of social media is not really it's not helpful to the growth of young wrestlers. As a trainer, this is what I see. So you can very much, again, like young wrestlers can get out there and like reach an audience that they never could have imagined, working every weekend, via social media. So, because, you can
Right.
get out there and do that. But at the same time, I feel like it forces so many wrestlers to focus on things that I don't really think are that important. Like they focus on, I need clips. I need clips. I need clips. I need, 10 seconds. I need this move. Look at this new move and all this. And again, all the power to you, and whatever works, whatever helps make you money, I'm going to support. But then you're just a clip person and you don't
Right.
actually learn how to work, and you don't really learn the craft of pro wrestling. You're trying to be like a meme, which again, if you could make money doing it, all the power to you. But I think there's far less spots for, wrestlers like that than there are for people who actually genuinely love and respect and understand the craft.
Absolutely. So, if you could, knowing everything you know at this point in your life, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
I've been asked the question before, and I think I've just said stay away from Johnny Rods and Gleason's gym. But no, again, that brought me to where I was, and I wouldn't be the person I am without that. I think the advice I would give myself is recognizing that wrestling is cyclical, wrestling is weird. Not everything has to be so negative. Like live through the negativity and be the change that you want to see in wrestling. I think that's something that I feel like I'm attempting to achieve at this point. But like that would be the advice I'd give is like don't lose yourself in this negativity. Remember who you are. Don't forget that, you don't have to put somebody down to build yourself up. You don't have to, harm somebody in order to, build your brand. You could just be yourself.
Absolutely. Wise words. So, do you have any pre-show traditions? Any things that you try to do consistently before you walk through the curtain?
I wouldn't say there's anything like I know a lot of people like, they have different ways they go about things. I don't. I like to keep things really light and chill, and joke and be funny and like maybe throw some water over my head just to get like the chill going, so that like all right, like a little shot of adrenaline. But like otherwise, I like to keep it fairly chill, because once Logan Black gets turned on, it's like, all right, like we gotta go.
Yeah, got you. So something that we've done in all of these that's just been kind of fun is we've let the current guest pose a question for the next guest. So a previous guest of mine, an Atlanta wrestler by the name of Von LaFleur, posed this question, and that is, what was a moment early in your wrestling career that made you think you might not be cut out for this?
Oh boy. It's an interesting question, because this is not me putting myself over. I don't know if I experienced that so much, only because I loved wrestling so much, and I was so focused on, getting good and learning and all that stuff, that there was nothing that could have, literally nothing that would have stopped me from like coming back and going, because I was just so obsessed with wrestling, and clearly I still am. So I don't think there was anything that really like pushed me to a point where I was like, I think maybe it wasn't early on, but I think like years later, and seeing just how like toxic everything could be and all that, and I was just like, I don't want to focus on anything but just like, I'm gonna do what I want to do. That's fun, and like that's gonna be it. Like I don't even want to make friends doing this anymore. Like I'm gonna do what I want to do. So like years later, just like wanting to get away from like all the toxic nonsense and negativity and garbage that wrestling can very easily produce.
Gotcha. So, since this is part of a series, do you have a question that you would like to pose to the next guest?
Let's see. Let's tie this into some comic book stuff, because again, I'm surrounded by all of these.
Cool.
Let's do if you're. Oh, you know what? No, because this is all wrestling stuff, so we can sit there and we can switch it up. Favorite comic book character, superhero?
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, little detour from all the wrestle talk.
Nice. How would you answer that? What is your favorite comic book character?
Wolverine. Clearly, it's in the name.
Yeah.
I grew up a huge fan of Wolverine. He's another short, angry fella. It's like, hey, how's it going, pal? So Wolverine is, that's my guy, and Batman being a close second, because I can respect the fact that Batman is always about doing things the right way, and truly believes in justice, which I think is hard to come by.
Yeah. I have always been a mark for Batman myself, because I dig the fact that he's just a guy. He doesn't have any powers. He just trained his body to do these things, and to me that's just such a cool thing, just such a cool concept that. I mean, granted, he had access to all kinds of money and such for, equipment and gear and things like that, but he's just a guy, know?
And I think the thing that I've always enjoyed about Batman, especially like reading more as an adult, is that Batman is who he is. Like Bruce Wayne is the gimmick.
Yeah.
Batman is who he is because he is so deeply obsessed with finding justice and being trying to create a solution to the issues that he sees. But Bruce Wayne is the gimmick. Bruce Wayne he's working everybody into believing that he's Bruce Wayne, and not Batman is actually who that person is. The thing to me is always really cool.
Absolutely. So we're pretty much at the end of things now. So do you have any upcoming shows or anything at all that you'd like to give some hype to? And then we're going to do the quick run through the SummerSlam card and get your predictions.
Awesome. I'm going to pull up my calendar so I can tell you what I'm doing.
Awesome.
So, no, we're not doing that. So August 10th, I'll be in Philadelphia for Labor of Love. They're putting on a charity show for our buddy Jeff Cannonball, who was recently diagnosed with ALS. Yeah, it's Jeff Cannonball is genuinely. I owe so much of my career to Jeff Cannonball and his selflessness and being able to take care of me when he didn't have to in the slightest. Jeff is a brilliant person, and everyone who comes into contact with Jeff absolutely loves him. So if any of the viewers out there want to help with, Jeff and his family, there is a GoFundMe set up. If you check his social media, it's up there. I know I've shared it and donated as well. But this show specifically is a bunch of Jeff's friends getting together and raising money to help out. And there's also going to be a huge Jeff Cannonball tribute show going on that Joey Janela is putting on, and like tons of AEW stars and tons of like huge wrestling stars will be at as well. So that's August 10th for me. August 22nd, I'll be at Pioneer Valley Pro Wrestling in East Hampton, Massachusetts. Probably beating the heck out of Scotty Wild. And then, yeah, I think that's it for me for a bit. Follow me on social media. I'm very active. Follow T2T Wrestling Academy on all platforms, all social media. That is my baby. That is the world to me. So showing support for that school, incredible crew of students, incredible crew of wrestlers. Anybody who enjoys any aspect of wrestling, we got something for you. So, go ahead and check us out.
Absolutely, man. And as far as what we've got coming up near term, this coming Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, I've got episode 143 with a New York, New Jersey-based, actually card collector and dealer by the name of Babyface Breaks. And then on Wednesday the 6th at 7 p.m., I've got episode 144 with an Atlanta-based wrestler by the name of Vivian Cross. She trains down here at WWA4 under AR Fox.
Awesome. What a hell of a school.
Oh, great school.
Oh, my God.
I've had a lot of WWA4 folks on here, man, and they represent themselves and the school so well.
Yeah, those shows sometimes get posted up on YouTube or like clips and stuff, and just watching it over, and it's like, the South is coming back.
It is,
Yeah,
and really AR Fox has a ton to be proud of.
Absolutely.
I mean, so anyway, we'll take a quick look now at the card for SummerSlam. We've got night 1 and night 2. It's a 2-night thing for the first time this year. And, I don't know that they've actually announced the order of the matches. So I just kind of put this together the way that seemed logical to me. Night 1, I've got, Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross. It's an interesting match. I'm looking forward to this. I think this will probably be the blow off of this feud. But who you got?
I'll tell you, I'm gonna go with my buddy Sami Zayn. Just because hoping to see this push him further towards the main event scene, because I know those matches are gonna be killer.
Yeah, absolutely. And he and Cross have had some pretty good in-ring chemistry, so I'm excited to see that continue.
Absolutely.
So moving on, we've got Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez with wrestling Charlotte and Alexa Bliss. This one, I'm actually saying Charlotte and Alexa. Who you got?
I'm going to go that as well, only because their chemistry and the fun that they're having outside of the ring, I think is really just so entertaining, and I want to see more of it.
I agree. So now we've got the celebrity match. Randy Orton and Jelly Roll against McIntyre and Logan Paul. Who you got?
I mean, Jelly Roll is the new one here, so I think they'll probably. I'm gonna go with Orton and Jelly Roll because I think it's. Logan Paul has shown that he sticks around, so they'll get Jelly Roll in. They'll have this match. They'll publicize it, and it'll be awesome, and everybody will be thrilled about it. I was just talking to one of my students about this, and I'm like, I've never heard a Jelly Roll song in my life. But I think that's far less indicative of his popularity and more just that I'm an old fogey that just I'm not cool or hip.
Well, you like what you like.
Yeah.
And yeah.
All the power to him. The guy is insanely popular.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, I'm with you on that. I think Randy and Jelly Roll will go over, but it's your typical celebrity schmaz.
Yeah.
Tiffany Stratton and the lady that I like to refer to as AEW Goldberg.
Man, I'm interested to see where this one goes. I know they have a lot of a lot behind Tiffany Stratton right now.
Yeah.
I think they see just dollar, but there's dollar signs in both of these two. I really think it could go either way.
Yeah, my gut says they're gonna keep the belt on Tiffany, at least for now. I don't know if they are completely ready to put all of their eggs in the Jade Cargill basket yet.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So now we've got Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus the Bronze.
I'm 100% going with Reigns and Uso. Yeah, that's dynasty stuff right there. So
yeah, I'll agree with you on that. And then we've got Gunther and CM Punk for the World Championship.
That's going to be something really special.
Yeah.
That's going to be a great one. Two people who I think do not have a bad match in them at this point. I'm hoping for Gunther. I just think that he's the best, quite possibly the best thing WWE has had in quite some time. But that's also, again, he's a big dude who hits hard. Like this is my bread and butter.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm thinking Gunther retains by either potentially a disqualification or some form of shenanigans, so that I'm predicting Rollins sends his minions out to interfere with the match to keep Punk from winning the belt.
Yep, I think that's a good chance of it happening.
Yeah. Now, moving on to night 2, we've got Dominic Mysterio and AJ Styles. I'm actually picking AJ.
Not because he's a local boy?
Well, local boy, I mean, I do have a soft spot for AJ because he actually lives about a half hour from me.
There you go.
But also, I feel like WWE wants to maybe give him one last hurrah, one last run with a belt, and they know that at this point a mid-card belt is probably better suited for that than a world championship.
That's fair enough. I'm still gonna go with Dom because actually, you know what? I'm gonna go with AJ because I think they might do some stuff with Dom in Mexico.
In AAA, yeah.
And really kind of let that go and give him some time to season up down there before coming back just even, more incredible.
Yeah. That was a secondary reason why I'm thinking AJ. So Becky and Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental. I've got Becky retaining.
I'm with you on that as well. Yeah, I think Becky is Becky, or rather Lyra, loses nothing by losing to Becky. So
Exactly.
yeah.
So now we've got this triple threat with Rhea, Naomi, and Io Sky.
This is going to be my pick for what I think is going to be match of the weekend.
Really?
I think this is going to take because the women's triple threat from Mania with Io, Rhea, and Bianca was by far my favorite match of that weekend. I think this is gonna even surpass that. And I see Rhea taking this one.
Interesting. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't mind seeing Rhea, back with the belt, but I'm actually saying Naomi retains.
Okay, I think that's fair as well.
Yeah. Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu for the
Yeah, I think this is going to be Jacob Fatu, and this is going to be the start of his basically the start of what takes him to the top of the company, because that guy's got money written all over him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that guy, the sky is the limit for him.
Absolutely.
And then finally, we've got Cena and Cody in a street fight for the title.
I think this is going to be where Cody completes the little arc they've got going on. Takes it, and that's it. John makes his last big one at Survivor Series, and that's it. And they hype something big and different for that one.
So you think we've got a do you think we're going to potentially see a double turn here?
I mean, if two people could pull that off, these two are definitely on the list. But I'm not sure. I don't know if they entirely want to do that. I think Cena's going to be, as always, Cena's going to be whatever Cena is, whatever the crowd is, and he's going to make the best out of it because he's brilliant. Yeah, I'm interested to see how they do it.
I am too. I'm logically, I'm saying Cody wins this match, but there is also I ran across something this afternoon that really has me doing a lot of thinking on this, and I'm actually wondering if at the end of this match, Seth Rollins cashes in.
Very well could be, and that could be what sends Cody over the top,
Yeah. Because I'm starting to really think this injury thing with Rollins is a work.
Yeah, I mean, that could also very well be true.
Yeah. And everybody is expecting Rollins to cash in on Punk and Gunther. But if he just interferes or has interference to cause Punk to not win the match, and then goes and cashes in on the other title match, that's something nobody's really looking for.
That's true.
So that's true. That could really put an interesting twist on everything.
No, absolutely.
So it's going to be a fun weekend. I'm definitely excited to see where it's all where they're going with everything. So.
No, certainly, it's going to be SummerSlam is always a hell of an event, so it'll be interesting to see how everything turns out.
Absolutely. So, my friend, Thank you so much for your time. This has been a blast.
Oh, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for
I've
having me.
really had a good time. And for those of you that have been watching this live, thank you. For those of you that'll be seeing this on replays and such, thank you for that. If you like what we've got going here, do the old like, comment, share, and subscribe. All of my socials are in my link tree on Instagram. And like I said, I'll be back Monday night at 7 with Babyface Breaks. And until then,